Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing a full face of makeup with some different brands. Now some of them have been recently released and other ones have been around for a long time, and I've been meaning to try it, and I ordered some the other day. So all my skincare is done for the morning, and about 10 minutes ago I did reapply another layer of my sunscreen. So now I'm going to pop on some primer, and I'm going to use the Chanel one. And then I was thinking the other day that another favorite primer of mine, and I bought 2 bottles of it, and the last one where I ran out I never reordered it, and that was the Hourglass one, and it might have been the year before last year it was released. That is a really fantastic primer as well. So when this Chanel one is nearly finished, I think I'll put an order in for that Hourglass one again. So for the foundation today, I'm going to try the recently released, this is the Bobbi Brown one, and this is the Weightless Skin Foundation. It has SPF 15 in it, it has 30 mils of product, and this has a shelf life of 24 months from date of opening. Now, if I'm able to, I will do a screenshot of the ingredients for this, and I'll pop it up here so you can pause the video and take a look. So the key benefits for this foundation, it is supposed to be a natural finish, medium coverage, long wear, and sulfate free. Now I did try this yesterday and it is a really lovely foundation. It does give a really beautiful finish. So they say long wear foundation that delivers 24-hour moisture and 24-hour wear for a natural matte finish that looks like skin, not makeup. It is formulated with our smart skin balancing technology. This lightweight formula controls oil all day without stripping the skin, delivering medium coverage that feels comfortable and breathable. So this foundation does have some skincare ingredients in it, and they call it the Tri Moisture Complex, which features hyaluronic acid. A lot of foundations have that now, glycerin and honey extract to help boost skin's moisture levels even along dry areas. So as I was saying, I did try this out yesterday, and I do think it is a really lovely foundation. Now they describe it as a soft matte. I would say it's almost like a satin type of foundation, and I did feel that I had to powder it down yesterday when I used it, but it is really lovely. I did wear it all day. I would have worn it for at least about 10 hours and it still looked beautiful after 10 hours wear. So that is the outside packaging, and let's take a look inside. Now I got the shade Beige, which is N042. So here is the outside packaging of it. It is glass, and as I said, it does have 30 mils of product. It just has a pull-off lid and a pump dispenser, and the dispenser is quite controllable. Sometimes with some dispensers, no matter how lightly you press the pump, a whole lot comes out. But with this one, you can definitely control it. But I am going to start off with one full pump. And as you can see, it's not thick. It's slightly running down my hand. One thing with the Bobbi Brown foundations, they can tend to run quite yellow. So the shade for me, the one neutral, and it is the beige one, that tends to be the perfect shade for me. But if you haven't tried it before, they can run quite yellow, and I'm really pleased that this beige shade that I picked, which is number 042, it is the same as the other Bobbi Brown foundation I've got. That's the long wear, because sometimes when they release different foundations, the shades can be slightly different, but this one is exactly the same shade as the other one. And out of all the foundation shades that they have, this one is the one that matches me the best. So with this foundation, you can have quite a light coverage, and it is buildable to a solid medium, and it builds really beautifully as well. Now they say that this is lightweight, and it is a lightweight foundation. Now yesterday when I put it on, I don't detect a fragrance in it. It just smells like a foundation. So if there is a fragrance in there, it is very, very subtle, and just to mask any other ingredients that might not smell that good, but I don't think that there is. So those of you that don't like fragrance in their foundation, then this could be a really good foundation for you. So it gives a really lovely coverage. And once it's been sitting for about a minute, I find then it looks just even better. So I've only used it so far using a makeup brush. This is a Sonia G one, but I imagine that this would go on really beautifully using a beauty blender or beauty sponge as well. So just what's left on my brush, I'm going to tap a little bit under my eyes. So when I first put it on, I would say that it is a light medium coverage, but as I was saying, you can build it up towards a medium. I put a little bit more on this side, and that is definitely covered better than this side here. So I'm going to just take a little bit more, and because you can control the pump, I can just put out just a little bit more foundation, and I'm just going to pop it on the areas that I just want a little bit more coverage. So up through there and just here, and a little bit more on my chin, and I'm just going to pop just a little bit more on my nose as well. When I want extra coverage with a foundation, this is usually the area where I want it built up just that little bit more. So I've let the foundation sit for only about a minute, and I think it gives a very natural look, and it does build up to that medium coverage. I think it looks really lovely. It's very flattering on my mature skin, and it has a slight blurring effect through here. I think it looks really lovely, and it definitely is, and it feels lightweight on my skin. I think it looks really lovely. Now, of course, it's towards the end of winter here now in New Zealand at the time of putting up this video. It may be past the 1st of September, and then it will be spring. But the weather it's getting warmer, but definitely not hot yet. So I'm not sure what this will be like in the middle of summer. But because it wore well beautifully yesterday, and it wore with just a very light powdering, then I imagine this will wear really well with my oily skin in the middle of summer as well. But I think it looks really, really lovely. And the next product that I picked up, and this has been around for a long time, but I've never tried it, and this is the Hourglass Vanish. This is the Airbrush Concealer, and I picked this up in the shade Sepia number 5. This may be a little light, but that's okay. It'll give a little bit of brightening, but I've heard really good things about this concealer. And of course, with the Hourglass, the packaging is really beautiful. So I'm just going to put the amount on that I normally would, and it has just a doe foot applicator. So normally I just put a little bit in the inner corner, and then a little bit under there. And I think it may be a little light, but as I said, it'll be more brightening. So I'm going to use the BK Beauty. This is the Angie Hot and Flashy brush, just to blend it out. So I'm not quite sure what type of coverage this concealer is supposed to give, but I would say that it is a medium coverage. It blends out really easily. I'll just put the excess just on my eyelid. So I'll blend out the other side, and then, like with all the other concealers that I use, I will just tap over it with my fingers just to let it meld in. But it gives really good coverage. So then I'm just going to just press it in. And I think it looks really nice. At this stage, it doesn't look too thick, but I would say definitely a medium coverage. Now, when I remember with my concealers, I do put on a color corrector as well. I use the NARS one, and I just use the tiniest amount just under here, because less is more, and I just don't want to keep adding too many layers under my eyes, because then you start to emphasize your wrinkles under there. And I probably would with this one, and that's because through here I have quite prominent veins, and when I remember to use a colour corrector, that does cover them quite considerably. But just with the concealer by itself, I think it does a really good job at covering them. So at this stage, I think it looks really lovely. And I've also picked up a new eyeshadow primer. I was talking about this in my last few videos, that apparently the Hourglass Veil eyeshadow primer is really good. So I've picked up this one. It's always good to have another brand that works really well. So if I remember when this video is uploaded onto YouTube, I must pin a comment and just let you know what I thought of this. So it comes in this little tube. Again, this has been around for a long time. It's just that I haven't tried it yet. So I'm just going to put on quite a small amount and just tap it over. So it has a really beautiful consistency, and let's hope that it just works really well with my oily skin, because not only oily skin all over my face but also with my eyelids as well. So off camera I've done my eyebrows, and I've also powdered under my eyes using the Hourglass powder. Now I'm going to powder the rest of my face, because when I feel the foundation, it feels like it needs powdering. It's not overly glowy or anything like that, because it is a soft matte, but it does need a light powder. So I'm going to use the Hourglass powder, and I do need to get another one of this. The other day I was talking about powders. Probably my favorite is the Chanel Natural Finish loose powder, then is the La Prairie, and I completely forgot about because it's at the back of my drawer. And this is another one that works really well with my oily skin. It is a really beautiful powder, and I love the packaging. So when you give it a shake, a controlled amount comes out. So I do really love the packaging of this one, and it tends to make it a little bit more travel friendly if you want to take a loose powder with you. But this powder, it gives a really beautiful finish, and just putting on just the lightest amount just to set down the foundation. And for bronzer today, I'm going to use a Chantecaille one. This was released a little while ago, and this is called the Sunstone Real Bronze, because I have the Chantecaille bronzer in Goa, and I really love that shade. So apparently this is a new shade. The packaging is really beautiful, and the packaging itself of the bronzer is just really gorgeous as well. So here's the bronzer up close, and it has that really beautiful, the embossing in there, and there is a small mirror inside here. And on the back of the packaging it says, a sophisticated finely milled gel powder bronzer that gives skin a pearly golden sun-kissed glow. So I think this is going to look really gorgeous. Now this has a shelf life of 18 months from date of opening, and it's made in Italy. So I'll just do a swatch of this on the back of my hand. So that is what the shade looks like swatched, and I think that's going to look really beautiful. So I'm going to take the Sonia G, this is the Jumbo Bronzer, and just start with a small amount, and I will build it up. So the bronzer has a sheen to it, but it gives a really beautiful, just as they said, a sun-kissed glow. This is a really lovely shade. And just like with the other bronzer that I have, the one in Goa, it blends out really easy. I just love the shade. I think it's a very natural sun-kissed look. It's really, really pretty. So now with that all on, I just think it gives a very gorgeous, and as I was saying, a really natural glow to the skin. I think it's really, really pretty. So for eyeshadow today, I'm going to use one that's been around for a long time, but I haven't tried any of these eyeshadows before. And this is the brand, this is Kevyn Aucoin. The only thing that I've tried from that brand, and that is a blush that I bought a couple of years ago. It's a really beautiful coral one, and they're the blushes that have that gradient effect. So apart from this eyeshadow, I've also picked up a few other Kevyn Aucoin products as well, and I will use those in a future video. And one of those products is a foundation, because I just wanted to see what it was like. Now these are made in Italy, and they also have a shelf life of 18 months from date of opening. Now this is called the Contour Eyeshadow Palette, and I got this in medium. I think there's light, medium, and also deep as well. And the packaging itself feels quite substantial, definitely a luxury product. And the outside packaging is really lovely. It's quite simple, but looks really gorgeous. The other thing that I've tried of Kevyn Aucoin, and that is an eyelash curler. And I bought that a few years ago, and that actually is a really good eyelash curler. I might still have it, but I just might need to change the little pads that come on those. So here is the color story of medium. I think this looks gorgeous, and it looks like there's a mixture. There's some mattes in there and satins as well. So this is swatched from left to right and top to bottom. So here you've got the mattes, and here you've got some satins. Now these swatch absolutely beautifully. The mattes, they feel quite creamy, and these swatch beautifully as well. Now I don't know whether I'll use all the shades from this eyeshadow palette, but I think I will be using at least 3 or 4. Now the shades in this are fairly pigmented, and I haven't tried them before, so I'm going to take it fairly easy. I'm going to take this Sonia G. This is the classic crease, so me using this today is going to be the first time. And I'm just going to go in fairly lightly. Picks up quite a lot of pigment. I thought it would, because these just swatched really beautifully as well. So I'm going to take the shade all over my lid, through the crease, and up onto my brow bone as well. Now you probably won't be able to see very much with this shade. And then next I'm going to go into this shade here. I'm going to take my Raffit number 14, and I'm going to put this one through the crease. I'm only picking up the smallest amount, just tapping very lightly into the pan. And just as I thought these would be, they are quite pigmented, so you just need to go in fairly easy, and you can always build it up if you want to, but just staying through the crease and just a little bit up onto the brow bone as well. And then I'm just putting a little bit more on the left side as well, just to even things up. But these, they blend really beautifully. Then I'm going to take the Raffit number 3. I'm going to stay with the shade. I'm going to put a little bit of this on my lower lash line. I'm just going to use my Raffit number 14 again and go into this deeper shade and put this in the outer corner. Again, just picking up just a small amount. I can always add a little bit more if I want to. That blends out really beautifully. And I'm just going back in again, and I'm just going to add just a little bit more. I'm really just very lightly tapping into the shadows. And then I'm staying with this shade. I've picked up the Raffit number 3 brush again, and I'm going to put a little bit of this on my lower lash line as well. Just stick to the outer third. Then I'm going to take the Raffit number 28, and I'm going to go into this shade here, and we'll see what these are like. They felt very buttery when I was swatching them. Goes on beautifully. There is a lot of payoff, so you only need to go in very lightly. This is a really beautiful shade. And then finally I'm going to go into this shade here. I'm going to pop that over the top of this one. And I'm going to use the Sonia G. This is the flat definer. So I think the shade will do quite a good job of just lightening things up through here. And put a little bit of the shade also in the inner corner. Off camera, I did my eyeliner and mascara. I used one of the new reformulated Dior eyeliners and also the Queen Mercia mascara. I've used this before in a few videos and I really love it. It gives really great volume. It's a really lovely mascara. So now for blush is another new one. This was released a little while ago and this is the Unreal Liquid Blush and I got this in the shade. This is Seen. Now this only has 10.5 mils of product, but I tried this out yesterday. So even though it is teeny, you only need just the tiniest amount. And the shade is just really beautiful. So I've still got my eyeshadow swatches on. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on my hand. So here is the shade Seen. It is a beautiful pink. It's got a little bit of warmth to it. And how you dispense this is underneath. I don't know whether the delivery of this is that great, but this is definitely pigmented. So I'm just going to put a little bit more on the back of my hand. And I've got to be careful how much I pick up of this. So I think I'm going to start off with just by putting on my cheek using my finger. And then I will blend it out. And if I need a little bit more, I can always add some. But as you can see, the tiniest amount gives a huge amount of payoff. So even though it is small, the amount, you just need such a tiny amount. Now this actually builds up really beautifully as well if you want to build it up, but I don't think I will be building it up that much. And one thing I found with this blush when I wore it yesterday is that sometimes with liquid blushes my skin can eat it up a little bit, but with this I found that it stayed really well on the cheeks throughout the day. With my oily skin, it doesn't lift my makeup underneath. But that is such a pretty shade. I've still got a ton left on my hand. You really do need just the smallest amount. So I think the shade is just absolutely gorgeous. It blends out beautifully as well. And the formula I think is gorgeous and lasts really well. It's just the delivery system of it. Probably would have been better just with a basic doe foot applicator. But once you get used to it, it's not difficult at all. And it's probably better just to pop some on the back of your hand, use your finger and then just tap just the tiniest amount on and then blend it out. You can always build it up if you want to. But this shade I think it's just really pretty. And for the lipstick today, I'm going to use a YSL one, and this is one of the lip oils. So here is the finished look, and I think altogether it looks really pretty. So let's start off with the Bobbi Brown foundation. I think it looks beautiful, and by the time that I've finished putting my makeup on, I think it looks even more beautiful than when I first put it on. I think it's just been given time just to meld in with my skin, and I think it just looks really pretty. It is lightweight. It suits my oily skin really well. Yes, I did have to give it a light powder, but I do with nearly all of my foundations, well, the majority of them anyway. And I think I'd have to go in a little bit heavier with the powder during that really hot weather with my oily skin. But as I said, I wore this yesterday and it looked really beautiful after 10 hours wear as well. It is a really lovely foundation, and the coverage is a medium finish. It starts off light to medium, but then once you build it up, it does go towards a medium, but I think it still gives a really natural look. The Chantecaille Bronzer, I think, is beautiful. It gives exactly what it says. It just gives this really beautiful sun-kissed glow, and I just think it is absolutely gorgeous. The Kevyn Aucoin eyeshadow palette is beautiful. This swatches beautifully. It goes beautifully on the eyes. It blends out just like a dream. And I love the mixture of it too, that you've got mattes here and you've got these satins as well. And they really pack a punch. Just absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't mind picking up the one, not the one deep, but there's also the one light. And I wouldn't mind picking that up and adding it to my collection. I think they are just gorgeous. And also the Hourglass Liquid Blush. Now, I think it is beautiful. I love the shade. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. The packaging takes a little bit to get used to. There's a little pump underneath. Just pop a little bit on the back of your hand. Really, it's just a drop that you need. Tap a little bit on each cheek and then blend it out. You can always build it up if you want to, but a little bit goes a really long way. I do also love the finish of the blush. It doesn't lift my makeup underneath, and the longevity of it is really good as well. Really, really gorgeous. And the YSL lip oil I've had for quite a while and I use it a lot. Now I've also picked up the YSL, the lip balm as well. Now out of the two formulas, I prefer the oil. I think it is lighter. I think that the balm just feels a little bit thick, but I love the formula of the oils. I do want to pick up at least a couple more shades. These are great just to pop in your purse and you can touch up throughout the day. You don't even need a mirror. And I love it that they have, it's not a huge amount because it's only a lip oil, but they do have a beautiful amount of pigment and they give a very subtle gloss. I just think they are just absolutely gorgeous. So with everything that I picked up, I am really thrilled with. And I also forgot to mention the Hourglass Concealer. And at this stage, it's looking really good. I think the shade might be a little bit light for me, great for brightening, but I do tend to like a concealer that really just matches my foundation, but it doesn't appear to be creasing. And if I remember, I will let you know what I thought of it. I'll pin a comment and just let you know how it wore throughout the day. But at this stage, I think it's really beautiful and gives a really lovely medium finish. And also the eyeshadow primer, the Hourglass one, it went on really beautifully. It didn't feel too tacky. And again, that's another thing to pin to the comment and just let you know my thoughts on that and how it wore throughout the day. But at this stage, I think it worked really beautifully, and just hopefully it does work really well with my oily skin. So really pleased with all the products that I picked up, and it's quite nice doing a video just featuring a few different brands for a change. There has been a lot of Chanel and Dior, which I absolutely love, but I do love trying out other brands as well. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.